Welcome to another deep dive.
Right.
Today we're going to be looking at hidden potential, and we've got some really interesting sources lined up for you.
Yeah.
Some YouTube videos and book excerpts from Adam Grant, who I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. He's a leading organizational psychologist.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got some thought-provoking stories from leadership expert Andy Stanley. And all of this is going to point us towards something that I think is going to be a little surprising.
Okay.
We tend to think that our potential is limited by our talents, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But these sources are kind of suggesting that we dramatically underestimate how much we can grow.
It's true. And it's not about reaching, like some level of greatness or becoming a superstar or anything like that. It's more about reaching a level of fulfillment for ourselves that just seems impossible right now.
Like Adam Grant's story about totally bombing his writing exam at Harvard.
Oh, wow.
And this is the same guy who's now a successful author, right? So his early struggles didn't define him. And I think one of the most surprising things that comes out of all of this material is that character is actually even more important than raw talent when it comes to unlocking potential.
Yeah, that's a key takeaway from these sources because we often hear about, talent or IQ, but character is the thing that actually drives us forward.
So are we just talking about being a nice person?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Grant defines character as the capacity to prioritize your values over your instincts. So it's about showing up and making the choice that aligns with your principles, even when things get tough.
Oh, so it's like how you act on a bad day, not just when everything's going your way.
Exactly. Think about Adam Grant, a self-proclaimed shy introvert, and he chooses to face his fear of public speaking head on.
Oh, wow.
Instead of letting his instincts win, he turned to some very critical Air Force officers and asked them to coach him.
That's bold. He went and sought out some really tough feedback.
He did, yes. And he makes a really important distinction between asking for advice versus feedback. Feedback often focuses on the past, while advice is forward-looking and more actionable.
Okay.
It's about bridging the gap between where you are and where you want to be.
That reminds me of the marshmallow test.
Oh, yeah.
You know, those kids who resisted the treat weren't superhuman.
Mm.
They just used clever strategies to make the marshmallow less tempting,
Right.
which suggests that even self-control, which we tend to think of as an innate trait, can actually be developed.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it highlights that character isn't just about willpower, it's also about having the skills to navigate difficult situations effectively. So you're presented with a challenge, your instinct says give up, but your values, those deeply held beliefs that you have, can guide you to make a different choice.
So sometimes that hidden potential could be radically different from what we initially see.
Right.
Like Andy Stanley's story about his son who starts out in finance but ends up becoming a stand-up comedian.
Who would guess?
Yeah, who would have guessed?
Makes you wonder, are we overlooking hidden potential in ourselves and others? Because we're too focused on surface-level talents or first impressions.
Right, it's like don't judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. But this idea of being a sponge really stuck with me.
Yeah.
It seems like being open to new information, new experiences, is crucial for growth.
Absolutely, but the sources emphasize that it's not just about absorbing everything you come across, it's about being a discerning sponge, like those in the ocean that filter out harmful substances while retaining what nourishes them.
So it's not just about, finding the most successful mentors.
Right.
Okay.
You want to look for those who are a few steps ahead of you, those who remember the struggles and can offer targeted advice based on their own recent experiences.
Okay.
That practical guidance really resonates because they've been in your shoes.
Now, this I found kind of counterintuitive. The sources actually suggest that even reluctance to lead can be a strength.
It's interesting, right?
How does that work?
Leaders who don't crave power, they often become exceptional at empowering others. Think about it. If you're not driven by ego, you're more likely to focus on the mission and create an environment where everyone feels valued and heard.
Yeah.
That's a powerful recipe for collective intelligence and innovation.
So they end up leading by empowering others to step up.
Precisely. Yeah, it's a different style of leadership, one that's focused on building others up rather than asserting authority.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, it really flips the script on what we traditionally think of as a leader. But to unlock that potential both in ourselves and others, we need to get comfortable with stepping outside of our comfort zones.
Yeah, I can already feel the resistance to that.
I know, right?
But I know you're going to say growth requires us to embrace discomfort.
Yeah, the sources really emphasize that discomfort is a catalyst for growth.
Okay.
A great example is learning a new language.
Okay.
Research shows that adults can become fluent, but they have to push past the discomfort of speaking early and often.
It's like social skydiving, right?
Yeah, Adam Grant actually interviewed a polyglot,
Wow.
someone who speaks multiple languages,
What?
and he called it social skydiving. He would purposely put himself in situations where he had to speak the language, he was learning mistakes and all,
Wow.
and he was willing to stumble and sound silly because he knew that's how he would learn fastest.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It reminds me of the Finnish school system.
Oh, yeah.
Grant highlights how different it is from, say, the U.S. system.
Okay.
Much more playful and joyful approach to learning.
Can you imagine kids getting tons of recess and they stick with the same teacher for multiple years?
Yeah, multiple years.
Wow.
And it works.
Does it work?
Yeah, Finnish students consistently rank among the top performers globally, and they don't spend any more on education than other developed countries.
Wow.
They prioritize well-being and intrinsic motivation,
Oh,
recognizing that when kids enjoy learning, they excel.
that makes sense.
Yeah, they're fostering a love of learning rather than a fear of failure.
Right, and that brings us back to embracing discomfort. Grant talks about how perfectionism actually shrinks our comfort zones.
Mm-hmm.
And get this, he failed his own imperfectionism quiz.
Even Perfectionism is about a successful author.
That's pretty funny.
It's proof that even experts grapple with this. Perfectionism isn't about striving for excellence. It's about fearing failure, and that fear can be paralyzing.
Right.
So instead of aiming for that perfect 10, which can feel impossible, what if we aim for a 9
Right.
and focus our energy on achieving excellence in areas that truly matter?
So shifting our mindset from outcome to effort, like focusing on the process rather than, obsessing over some unattainable ideal.
Exactly. It's about progress, not perfection.
Okay.
But even when we try to embrace discomfort and push ourselves, self-doubt can creep in and hold us back.
Oh, tell me about it.
So how do we combat that?
Yeah.
This is where the power of believing in those who believe in you comes in.
Well,
Grant makes this fascinating point that our self-doubt is often more limiting than our actual abilities.
he shares a story about Andy Stanley, actually, being told that he was a leader as a teenager,
Oh.
even though he totally resisted the idea at the time.
It shows how sometimes others can see our potential more clearly than we can ourselves.
That's so true. And when multiple people that you trust see that potential in you, it's kind of a strong signal to pay attention.
Yeah, and we can be pretty biased against ourselves,
Yeah.
underestimating our capabilities and overlooking our strengths.
Yeah. What voices of doubt am I holding on to that might be holding me back? And on the flip side, whose belief in me have I been brushing off?
Yeah, those are great questions for all of us to consider, especially as we move into an age increasingly dominated by technology and AI.
Okay.
The sources suggest that our uniquely human skills are becoming even more valuable.
We're not trying to compete with the machines.
Exactly. Grant argues that we're in the midst of a character revolution.
Interesting.
These skills, judgment-defining principles, navigating complex social situations, these can't be easily automated. They're what set us apart and allow us to make meaningful contributions in a rapidly changing world.
So in a world where technology is constantly evolving,
Mhm.
it's our human qualities
Yeah.
that are going to be most valuable.
Yeah, it's not about AI replacing jobs. It's about AI changing the nature of work. And the demand for human judgment, empathy, ethical decision-making is only going to increase.
Like Adam Grant said, we can't automate judgment, and we certainly can't write code for compassion.
It's true.
These are the things that make us effective leaders, collaborators, innovators.
And these qualities are at the heart of unlocking hidden potential. It's not about reaching some predetermined destiny. It's about continually growing and evolving as individuals, pushing ourselves beyond our perceived limitations.
Yeah, it's really a powerful reminder that we all have this hidden potential just waiting to be unlocked.
Absolutely.
We just need to, focus on developing our character.
Yeah.
Embrace those moments of discomfort that can help us grow and really believe in that potential that others see in us.
Right. And remember, it's not about trying to become someone you're not. It's about becoming the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
A version that you might not even realize is possible right now.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into hidden potential, I want to leave you with this. What's one area where you feel limited by your perceived talents? Could this be your starting point for exploring that hidden potential that you haven't tapped into yet? What discomfort are you willing to embrace today to unlock a more fulfilling tomorrow?
Keep diving deep and keep pushing the boundaries of what you believe is possible.